We might be streaming here in a moment. I'm trying to. Let's see if this is happening. Let's see. Not yet. Uh,
Let me do something else. Let me get this computer, this thing. Set this on the table. Maybe that'll be better. Be more like.
okay, we're live. Yeah, I think we're live. Let's see. Reset. Should be live. It's not showing live for me, but we should be there in a second. So I'm just looking on my phone to see if it's coordinating or adding. Let's see. Oh yeah, yeah, we're live. We're live. Okay, so we've got this working finally. We're going to talk Spurs Rockets. This is actually a good game to start with a stream. So let's get right into it. I know we were both writing a lot of notes during the game. What was one of the things that stood out to you? I mean, because the first half and the second half were like completely different halves. But what were some of the top takeaways for you?
The first half, I just thought like Castle kept on like driving to the basket. There was no kind of movement in the offense, and then that totally changed in the second half. The paint opened up. They were moving around, and they just got easy layups in the second. Where the first half, it was hard to get layups and just contested shots in the paint.
Yeah, they were. So I think when I watch the Spurs, it's like watching the fundamentals go out the window. They've got all of the talent. I don't even know why Charles Barkley. I happened to catch some of the halftime, and he said they're one piece away. They're no pieces away. They're a team away. Like they have to make this work with what they have, and we see it over and over again. Turnovers. I mean, it's not just a matter of one game or two games, like especially with Stephon Castle, but now I'm watching De'Aaron Fox. Now I'm watching Dylan Harper. They just throw the ball away. They do not value the ball. Even in the second half when they came back, it's like how many turnovers do you have to have before you just start taking care of the ball? Imagine if they didn't have if they like cut down their turnovers by half, they'd be a completely different team. So it's like a team that's like careless, and I think that's one of the takeaways. And one thing that bothers me is just like pay attention to detail. Why are we throwing cross court passes?
Yeah. Um, and there was like it was like in the second half there was like a little lull, like where Houston was actually not even making shots. They had gone, I think a 14 or like 6 7 minutes without making any kind of shots, and the Spurs were like battling, like themselves. They were, uh, come down, miss a three, and then they would, um, you know, and come down and miss another three, and then they would turn the ball over, and it was just like y'all are playing against a team that's not even hitting any shots, and y'all should be moving the needle where it's like out of reach for these people, and for Houston, and they just couldn't they just kept Houston in the game by just battling kind of their own demons.
Well, so another fundamental that we get back into is like the Spurs can't hit shots. And like that's like after a while it's not an excuse, it's just the reality. Like you can't say, "Oh, that was a wide open shot. It's a good shot." Well, actually no, if nobody hits the shot, it doesn't matter. You've got to make it. Like I don't like this in theory. Like Devin, I heard Devin Vassell at an interview say, "Well, we were spacing the floor." Like, no, I don't need you to space the floor. I need you to hit the shot. Spacing the floor is fine, but like at some point someone needs to start hitting, because a lot of these are wide open, and it's part of the Victor Wembanyama problem. Is like, hey, Victor doesn't get spacing. It's because everybody knows you're not going to hit the shot. So what do they care about it? So it can't be like in theory you're going to hit it. You have to actually hit these shots with some consistency. And I think that's a problem for them over and over again. Same with free throws. I mean, this is the basics: free throws, turnovers, rebounds. And it's the
Right.
Spurs have all of the talent in the world. It's not that; it's that they don't execute.
Right. And I did. I think in the first quarter, I had written down there were 3 for 9, so they were 33%. But Houston was 7 of 17, and they were shooting 41%. So it's like they're just getting out muscled in the 3 point area where they just can't keep up. Between the turnovers and the Castle driving it and getting blocked or getting it swiped, and it's just like you can't keep up. But that was kind of like the difference between the first half and the second half.
Yeah, yeah. It was the first half and the second half were so different. And in the second half, you started. I think part of it was helped because the Rockets just bogged down. I don't even know what happened,
Right,
but
right,
in the second half, they started to actually. You saw drives that actually were successful, and I think that's what really opened it up. I think it was the defense.
right.
Then that led to fast break points, and I think if they push more and they get more in the open court, they will be able to like. I like that pressure that Harrison Barnes was putting on in the backcourt. Like, why let these teams walk the ball up? Why not put some pressure on them and then they start coughing the ball up like you do? And one thing that bothers me about the Spurs is they've got three guards now. And we're still in Circus Town where I'm not sure if they're going to hold on to the ball, especially with De'Aaron Fox. Like we saw Amin Thompson just take the ball away from him at half court. It's like, come, you're a point guard. Like, how do you lack so much attention to detail that you can't hold on to the ball?
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree. And they did. I did make note, like in the second quarter, they started being just, in the second quarter on defense, it was real sloppy. Like, I think they turned the ball over, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he went for like a two-handed dunk, and kind of Wemby and Castle, after turning the ball over at half court, Easton, he went for a two-handed dunk, he missed it. Nobody ran back. Houston got the ball. Easton went over there to the corner and then hit a three-pointer, just from lack of hustle and lack of defense.
It happens to the Spurs way too much. Like, and Mitch Johnson, I think he's part of this, right? Like as a coach, like I'm watching him. He's had some highlights this year, and he's had some lowlights, especially against Houston. Now the second half comeback is good, but I want to see more consistency, not just throughout the game, but from the players. And you can't turn the ball over. You have to pay attention to what's going on. And at some point, it's also the coach's fault because you have to tell De'Aaron Fox, hey, De'Aaron, someone comes from behind you. Do you not notice that they're trying to run up behind you and poke the ball away? De'Aaron Fox somehow isn't mindful enough to be aware of that. And it's the same with Wemby. Hey, Wemby, look, you can't bring the ball up. It's over. You can't do it. You fall down. You get out of control and you turn the ball over. And we saw that happen once this game. It's happened more in the past, but I would like to see Mitch Johnson take care of the fundamentals and let's just have an organized basketball team. We don't even need to get complex with the plays. We don't need to have anything fancy. The Spurs have so much talent that they should be winning more of these games. And what are they, 8-8 in the last 16? That's not enough. Like you that's not good enough. I don't want to hear what I heard on the broadcast. They started making excuses for Mitch Johnson. Oh, this is his second year. He just took over the team. No, no, no. There are no excuses. You had this team last year, right? You took over for Pop. Now you've got it. This is an embarrassment of riches. We're nearing OKC level of talent. You've got Keldon Johnson supplying power off the bench, Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox, Victor, Devin Vassell. There's too much talent for you to be 8-8 in this last 16.
And a lot of those games were winnable. It's just poor shooting. And even tonight, they were, I think, 24% on the 3 point. I think they were 6 of 26. And, that just keeps a lot of teams in the game and, keeps them around. Instead of, if you just hit 3 or 4 more shots, it's unreachable. It takes you into, where they kind of just fold because they can't keep up.
They miss 3 pointers and they miss free throws like it's just something that should happen with regularity. I mean, and I'm talking about wide open 3 pointers. And I think looking at Devin Vassell and criticizing his form, he shoots the ball like to the side, like he's wide open and he's contorting his body. And I think one of their biggest faults was getting rid of Chip England because they got too cheap. Like
Yep.
that guy was gold. Like I mean, he was fixing everybody's shot. Like that guy was worth his weight in gold. I would have kept him no matter what. They let him to go to OKC, and now look at OKC. They're one of the better shooting teams. Caruso falling down recently, but I mean, look at Lou Dort. I mean, he shoots rainbow lollipops, and they're swishing. I wish he was still on the team because he could really, really help.
And and that's just where we're at right now. We're just I don't even know if it's a slump or if we just cannot. We're just not a good 3-point shooting team, and you know because it's been over a month. So ever since I think it was the last game in the NBA Cup, that's when it kind of when we played the Knicks, it's kind of just fell off 3-point shooting from there, and it's been atrocious since.
The Spurs are a bad 3-point shooting team. Like that's for sure. Like I mean, these are a lot of them are shooting wide open threes. So that should skew the percentage even higher. And if you had more people like shooting with a high degree of accuracy more consistently, then Victor would get more spacing. But because nobody
Right.
can hit threes, I mean, we're sitting there watching Keldon Johnson shoot threes. I don't even think Devin Vassell is reliable. And this is a note I put during the game is that hey, like you have to be consistent like game to game. Like we can't have everybody be a streaky shooter. Like think about the Spurs and their shooting. De'Aaron Fox is streaky. Harrison Barnes 100% streaky. Julian Champagnie, I don't know if he's going to have a good game or a bad game. Um, who else? Stefan Castle, more bad than good, but also streaky. Dylan Harper, also streaky. So I would like to see them hit like more of the same percentage game to game versus I don't know who
Right.
I'm going to get. Like it looks great when it's going in, but when it's bad, it's so obvious that there's a real problem and they need to address the shooting.
Yeah. Speaking on that, yeah, it's just 20 something percent is just not going to do it. And it was, I don't know if it was like a fluke that the Spurs started out really kind of hitting their 3 pointers and then now, and they're just a bad team, or are they a good team just in a slump? It's kind of hard. We're getting halfway to the season. It's kind of like, what was the first part of the season? Was that just a fluke, or what are we as a 3-point shooting team?
Well, as a 3-point shooting team, I actually think they're bad. But I mean, you see, like they're close enough to where if they get over the hump, they could be a like not only like a good team, like an elite team. They make the mistakes and they don't have the shooting. So the mistakes in the form of missed rebounds, turnovers, but then there's also the problem that they cannot shoot with any degree of consistency. And so if I'm the Spurs, like that's something right now I'm getting ready for the playoffs because to me, if you go ahead and chalk this season up as we're young but we'll be there, we're coming up, like we're there soon. I think that's a wasted season. They could win the championship this season, but it
I
starts
agree.
right now. It starts right now.
I
You
agree.
have to get on top of this.
And there's no, and the thing about the NBA nowadays, it's not like you're guaranteed to be half as good as you are next season because, you could get injured or lose a couple stars, and then like Wemby could go down again, and it's like, okay, well, now you just lost the whole of the season, so now we're two seasons out here, and you know, it's just if you're that close, you might as well just almost put the chips in and kind of just get that little piece you need.
Well, think about the 76ers, right? When everyone kept saying, oh, the Sixers, like, watch out, watch out. It was Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Watch out for them, right? We're young,
Right,
but we're up and coming. That era came and went, and they are done with that. Like, now they're trying a new era where you're trying to hold over Joel Embiid, and then you're going with BJ Edgecombe, and you're going with Tyrese Maxey. But now with the
right,
Spurs, they're right there. There's no reason to wait on anything. I don't know. Like there's no holding back, and really to me, there's no excuses. Like I thought OKC would be in their way, but right now they're in their own way, and they're not going to win the championship right now. They're not a championship team right now. They
right.
could win it. I don't think they're a piece away. I think like you make it work with what you have. I mean, how is it that Dylan Harper, uh, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, and Victor's not enough? Like to me, that's enough. Like to me, you've got enough there. And Keldon Johnson plays like a star. Like Keldon Johnson is the glue that's holding this team together.
Yeah, he's like the big piece off the bench. Like back in the day, it was like Manu, for example. Given that 15 to 20 points off the bench, that kind of spark. But I still think they're just a kind of maybe 10%, just a player that can consistently hit threes. You know, it doesn't even have to be like a star, but you know, maybe just like one person I have in mind. I kind of heard about was Horta, that guy from the Chicago Bulls. Uh,
Herder?
yeah, Herder. There you
Yeah.
go, Herder. Yeah, from the Chicago Bulls. You know, nothing fancy, just a solid 3 point shooter, and you don't have to make a big splash to get that one piece. That is just consistent.
That guy's really good. Kevin Herter's really good. So I do actually think he'd be like that guy would fit in really well. He's a pro and he knows his spots. He knows where to hit. He knows where to go. He doesn't turn the ball over. He'd be an excellent fit. And you're right. It wouldn't if they added someone and they put in the shooting. It's not someone even that's going to like draw attention. It would be someone slick like that. Add
Right,
him
right.
in, and he's shooting threes. I like their team right now. Jeremy Sohan, obviously the odd man out. But I don't even know who you would trade off to get him because I'm sure he has some value anyway. But that would be great.
I mean, I'd almost be willing. I mean, if it's like a piece that they feel it could push them over. I mean, I'd even give them that Hawks pick, or something
No
like that.
way. No way. I thought Hawks pick is valuable. I'm not giving away a
Well,
pick for Kevin Herter.
well, they're going to be the Hawks. I think are going to be moving up. So I don't think it's. I think they'll be end up eighth probably in the East. You know, move up one or two spots. They're 10th right now. So I mean, it's going to be like middle of the pack kind of pick. Um, I mean, if it wins you a championship, I
Well,
don't
I
know.
mean, yeah, if it did, but that's a big if because it's not just the shooting. There's so much more, right? But I would like to see Kevin Herter on the Spurs. I just don't. I haven't thought about what would the trade be for Kevin Herter. What would the Spurs need to give up? I do think he'd be the perfect addition, but I'd also like to see the Spurs just work on their own 3 point shooting. I know it's like a novel concept in the NBA and especially for the Spurs, but I'd like to see the Spurs actually drilling 3 pointers because I mean, for the Spurs, it's all about fundamentals. Like there's no lack of talent here. It's just like, can this team start to work better and pick things up, turn the ball over less, and just simple stuff. I mean, one of the notes I took was like, look, why is Victor on the perimeter guarding anybody? Like
Right.
he's not fast enough to keep up with them on the perimeter, and his strength is when he's in the paint. So if it's funny when you watch the Spurs, like he'll get out there and he'll be guarding someone on the 3 pointer, and he'll get caught in between where he's not guarding anybody, so he doesn't get the rebound. He's out on the perimeter. He's not bothering their shot anyway because they know they can get by him. So why don't the Spurs just play 1-4 and have everyone else out and swarm the perimeter and the in between, and then have Victor stand by the basket? That's all I would do. Like I mean,
Right.
because that then Victor's effectively guarding like two positions at once because you're not going to drive into him. It's going to be very difficult to get there.
Yeah, he does affects the most shots at the rim. Like he makes them. It makes it a difficult shot when they drive into the paint, and you know whether they make it or miss it, it turns it into a 9 out of 10 in
It
difficulty.
it's a low percentage shot. I mean, I've noticed some players are starting to get up the floaters over him, but still, like, I'd much rather have him back there guarding the paint and then in position to get the rebound. One thing that annoys me about Luke Cornett is that he does that. What is it? The Cornett jump, like where he's jumping at a 3 point guy. All that does, that's so stupid. All that does is take you out of position to get the rebound.
Right. Right.
And these are NBA players. Like they're not going to flinch because you jump. Like they know what they're doing. So I've seen him do it. Victor does it sometimes, and it's idiotic. Like why are you out of position now? Like now you're not going to get the rebound. You didn't affect the shot. So what are you even doing?
Right. Right. Uh, yeah. No, I've seen it tonight. And maybe that was part of the reason why I kind of felt there for a little bit. They were kind of just like one step behind. Like you see them make that extra pass, Houston, and then just like not quite there to be able to guard that three and then make it because they're halfway out of position there on that.
Well, with Victor, one thing I noticed early in the game is when he pushed past the defense. This is what I don't think the Spurs. I think the Spurs are missing is like with Victor. If you keep pushing, if you, I watched him one time. He was so insistent upon getting past the defense. He did, and he ended up finishing with a dunk or like a layup. But if the Spurs are so close, they're so close to breaking through, and I think sometimes they don't realize how close they are if they're just more aggressive in pushing past the defense. And I think sometimes they accept what the defense gives them. Especially, I'm really focusing on Victor here, but this could also be Stephon Castle. This could be Dylan Harper. But if you keep being aggressive with them and keep going past the defense, sometimes Victor's right there. He just, he looks to pass out, or he goes ahead and takes, he'll go ahead and circle back. But they're really close. Like once they finish that, the defense is just like wall thin. When they start to apply more pressure, they're going to be better off. And I saw that from Victor when he got determined to go to the basket. I mean, it's right there for him. Because imagine if once the Spurs unlock Victor getting closer to the basket, let's say 30% more of the time, that's going to be a
Mhm.
huge unlock.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, um I did see them like in transition, like in the I think it was like in the third quarter. Victor started getting pushed around a little bit, and he was trying to beat um Sagoon down the floor in transition. I mean, he was hustling down the court, and I think that's kind of when they broke it open a little bit there.
That's one of the things that bothers me the most is when Victor does get down low and he gets position and they don't pass to him. I saw Keldon Johnson not pass to him. He hoists up a three, which Keldon Johnson okay 3-pointer, but like I don't want him shooting threes as a habit. So Victor runs, gets positioned down low. He's 10 feet away from the basket, and then he doesn't get the ball in time. If he doesn't get the ball in time, the defense, what do? They shove him 5 feet out. He's now out 15 feet from the basket. He's no
Right,
longer
right.
posting up. He's no longer close. And this happens over and over again. Do you see that?
I do see it. I do see it. He's at the top of the key, and on the 3 point line. And it's like, what are you doing out there? Because he's
Nope.
been pushed out.
But I mean, when the Spurs have the ball and Victor runs and he actually is in position, like he actually cuts or he actually posts up and he gets position and then he doesn't get the ball.
Right. No, I've seen that. Yeah. And then he ends up high somewhere
Yes.
because he's I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, it's just he can't keep down there. He can't hold his position. He has to get in position, but once he's in position, if he doesn't get it right away, then he's pushed out.
Yeah, it has to be lightning fast. It has to be like, hey,
Right.
I'm here. We get the ball and we're good.
Right.
And,
Right.
and for as much as I hear all you have to do is throw the ball to Victor, I don't see a lot of throwing the ball to Victor. If they do throw the ball, they throw it away. It's the Spurs have a really hard time getting him the ball. Another fundamental that I'd like to see, I mean, with Stephon Castle, we see so often, I've seen it with De'Aaron Fox, is like, okay, they notice Victor is finally there, and then they throw the ball away. So it's like, it's just
Right.
execution with the Spurs over and over again. And then speaking of which, one thing about Luke Cornett that I've noticed, I used to not think this before. I didn't think this before the season, but now watching him, he has horrible hands. He actually can't catch the ball. Like if you pass it to him in traffic, he's not going to catch the ball. He's got like really stone hands. He kind of reminds me of Bismack Biyombo in that way, because you throw him the ball, he's not going to catch it, and he doesn't really want the ball. Like unless he's going to get an easy hoop, he's looking to pass out.
Right. So what do you think tonight? Do you think the Spurs just outright won, or do you think that Houston kind of with their bad play and kind of their streak of not making shots and going ice cold won the game? Like, do you think Houston, if they would have made a few more shots, not been on such a cold streak, do you think they could have pulled this off, or like the Spurs would have won, or Houston?
No, I think this was definitely a Spurs win. For as much as I'm criticizing them, they came and they won that game and they were down. Like so you don't just
Right.
go back. Like they came back from 16 down and that wasn't like the Rockets didn't. I mean, yeah, maybe they choked somewhat, but the Spurs really more took it, and I think it was because the Spurs have been beaten by the Rockets, and I think Victor was done with that, and I think the team is also like, hey, we're not losing another game, and so I think you saw them pick it up. So I mean, I'm definitely
Yeah.
counting this one for the Spurs. But to me, the Spurs are the better team. Like when I watch them, I think the Rockets are a really good team. I
Right.
just think the Spurs are superior when I watch them, and I think the Spurs went and took it to them in the second half. And
Definitely.
the Rockets they could have been better, but I think the Spurs still took that game. And we got a comment from David Saucedo. Great game, guys. GSG. David, thanks for chatting with us. Thanks for joining the stream. Um, David, by the way, what did you think of the game? We'll get to that in a moment. But another looking at another note I have here, going back to the turnovers, you know, anybody that's been watching the Spurs knows that Stefan Castle has been turning the ball over, like he's been racking up those turnovers like they're desirable statistics. Like he's like it's like almost like you want to get the statistics, but he's going the opposite way with turnovers. And from him, I see cross court passes. I see not paying attention to the defender, lack of detail, and just a lack of overall awareness. And I know you've noticed that as well.
Hmm. Yeah, he gets caught kind of like in those, bad positions with him driving, and there's like two defenders there, and he kind of panics and or gets the ball swiped because it's in traffic and because the lane is jammed and there's just nowhere to go there. So it just ends very badly for him. Either kind of a block shot or um, a turnover of some sort, which is the same result: block shot, turnover, pretty much not your ball.
Yeah, the block shot's a good point because he's forcing it, right? He's forcing the issue. So he ends up either in a bad position where he's throwing up a shot that's not going to happen, which shouldn't be the case. He didn't used to get blocked like this. Or
Right.
or he's turning the ball over, or he's just in a bad position where he's got defenders on both sides because his spacing is bad. And so that is one thing that's been a theme going on, and we even saw threads of it this game. David wrote, first half we played soft. We stepped it up second half. We need that effort all four quarters. Over and over again, what's the theme here? Consistency. From game to game, from player to player, from half to half. And I look to Mitch Johnson for this. One of the reasons I didn't like the Mitch Johnson hire is because he just turned 39, like I think 2 months ago or something. With coaching, being young is bad. Like I don't want a young coach. I want a coach who is like maybe 40, like upper 40s, 50s, because I want that experience. And so even though he plays the badass on TV, we hear him in the huddles and he's yelling. He's still 39 years old. You at that point you're still learning on the job. And that's my problem with him. And it's like to me, I have this collection of talent and yeah, they have a good record, but I mean, what was the baseline here anyway? They were always going to have a good record. How can you have this collection of talent and have a bad team at the same time? It's really hard to do. So, I think he's one of the people that needs to have some inward, have some reflection on himself and think, what could I do better? Because there's a lot that's missing, and a lot of it is fundamental.
I do like that comment because they're missing a tone setter. Like Golden State Warriors got Draymond Green. He's in there pushing people around and getting under skin, and the Spurs just seem like somewhat nice. They just don't have that person that comes out that sexy tone and aggressiveness and already pushes the needle kind of in your favor and physicality.
Well, I think it's also, I think what you're, I'm reading into it is accountability. Like I want some accountability, and I think the Spurs need to. I think you know, Victor's so young, you wouldn't want it to come from him necessarily, but I do think it. If I'm looking at the team, I think it has to come from Victor because Harrison Barnes, yes, he's older, yes, he's somewhat of a leader, but he also doesn't have the play to back it up. Like you have to come in, you have to be a presence, and like the coach would be one person. The other person I'm looking at is Victor because there's nobody that wants it more than him. And David wrote, I agree, Mitch needs a pep talk from Pop. He needs, yeah, Mitch needs a lot. Mitch needs to be pushed as well. You hear him in the games when they have the in broadcast and they have him on the mic, and he's talking to players like, "Hey, pick it up." I need to have someone on Mitch telling Mitch, hey, you pick it up too. Because these turnovers, these are practice turnovers. These are things that you need to work in, and we shouldn't see this happening over and over again. How many times am I going to watch De'Aaron Fox roll up the court and almost get a half court violation because he doesn't know how many seconds are left? He's going to get one, at least a few this season. I've watched it happen so many times where he hits 16 seconds right as he's crossing half court. It's going to happen, and that's the type of attention to detail. It's like, you're a point guard. You can't have people coming up from behind you and knocking the ball away. That's just, you have three point guards. This shouldn't be a circus show so much of the game, and yet it is. Like, I feel like, you remember when before the year before Chris Paul joined, and they had who was it? What was the last name? He had, it was one of the brothers. I think his last name was Jones. I can't think of his name. It was like It wasn't Tyrus, I don't think, but they had one of the Jones point guard brothers, and then they had another point guard who could not handle the ball. And every possession, it was like a circus. It was like, I don't know if the Spurs are actually going to hold on to the ball where they even make it up half court. And I feel like that's partly in play, even with having three point guards on the team. And really, the more I watch Stephon Castle, the more I don't see a point guard. I don't think
Right.
he's actually responsible enough to be a point guard. What do you think?
Well, that's another thing is they got Fox as the point guard. Like, why, he should be. I mean, I would think he should be handling, the ball about 70, 75% of the time. Um, um, just because that's what his position is. Distribute the ball. He was great in Sacramento, and then all of a sudden now he's like an off ball, and Stephon Castle's bringing up the ball like the point guard. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like Stephon Castle. I think that's they're not playing to their strong suits in multiple ways, and I think one of the ways is, if I'm looking at Stephon Castle, I don't see a pure point guard. I see a guy that can handle the ball when needed to, but I'm not going to have him be the primary ball handler, and I'm not going to have him bringing up the ball, initiating the offense, because I think he does a horrible job at it. That's something I think Dylan Harper is more acclimated to. I think more of his natural position, and that should be something that De'Aaron Fox does. And on the topic of De'Aaron Fox, this is a guy that's making max money, and I'm going to see. I need to
Right.
see more production, and I need to see him play more like a star alongside Wemby. And so I see him blending into the background way too much. Sometimes he plays like a star, but I need you to fill in that second spot more than you are.
I almost saw a play like maybe that's what they're trying to do. So what they did is like Stephon Castle is bringing up the ball from in the front court, and Stephon or not Fox was kind of like in the on the between the 3 point and the bottom box, and he kind of ran a screen and popped out, and they gave him the ball, and he kind of drove it into the paint, and then made like a little mid range jump shot. I almost feel like the roles should be reversed, like Stephon coming off of the screen, getting the ball, and then running in the paint, and kind of that way. But I guess I don't know why they're having Castle bring up the ball like that.
I would like so yeah, David's right. It was Trey Jones. I could not think of Trey Jones's name. But yeah, initiating the offense, I want to see De'Aaron Fox do it. I want to see him more involved in the offense. I need to see De'Aaron Fox hitting like 17, 20 points a game. He needs to be a 2A. And he
Right,
needs to be a number 2 to Victor. And then with the 2A, maybe it's Stephon Castle if he's going to up his game, but he's actually, the more responsibility he's got, the worse he is. His rookie season, he was better. He was shockingly good. This season, with more
right,
responsibility, he's turning the ball over, and he's not hitting his shots, and his shot hasn't improved. Like, I need to
right.
see you in the summer. I need to see you come back, and it's like you went, after school, like you came back and you had a program during the summer, and that's not the case. So I would like to see Stephon Castle playing more of his natural position, which I think is more of a 2, maybe a small 3 at times, but it's definitely not point guard. Although yes, he can play point guard, but he's not your primary ball handler.
Yeah, like if he came off screens and kind of had like position on his defender, he's big bodied, and you get a screen for him. He comes off that, it's gonna be, he's gonna have the kind of the slight advantage when he's driving into the paint, and I think that'd be better off for him than trying to create his own shot from the 3 point line, bringing it across.
I wanted to ask you, did you see during the telecast when Alpi Shingun was literally grabbing Victor's jersey,
Yeah, I did see
holding
that. Yeah,
he was holding
yeah,
on to him, and then the ESPN broadcaster says, "Hey, he's going to have to play through the physical play during the playoffs." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like the guy was like pulling his jersey. Your audio's off.
and
There you go.
who
Your
was the
audio.
second foul? It
What's
was the
that?
second foul. Segun was pulling him by the jersey, and then somebody whacked him underneath the rim.
And he didn't even get the foul for Shingun pulling on his jersey.
Right, right. That's crazy. Yeah.
I, and so and I a couple of games ago, did you catch the Timberwolves game where Julius Randle just absolutely like mauled Victor in the fourth quarter? This was like a few weeks ago.
I'm sure I did. I don't recall offhand, but that's been an ongoing. It's like they don't, it's like they're not calling the fouls on Victor. Like they don't know what to do with them, or
Well, I talked about this in the video. It's like, look, like when you have guys like Julius Randle and you have a guy like Alex Caruso shutting down Victor Wembanyama, you need to ask yourself, why is that happening? Is it because all of a sudden became the best defender in the world? Or is it because they're fouling the hell out of him, which it is the latter? Like Julius Randle, Victor couldn't score because Julius Randle was fouling him like Alpi Shengun was grabbing his jersey.
right,
That's not
right,
playing through physical contact. That's just someone getting fouled.
right. No, I agree. I agree. I did see that. He ended up with like a scratch on his shoulder when he was shooting a free throw. He ended up with like this big old scratch on his right shoulder, or I guess yeah, Wimby's right shoulder. Just after that foul.
Yeah, and so I mean, I'm all for like, hey, like like you hear, I'll criticize Victor all the time, like go to the paint, like push past it, right? But there's a point too where he's just getting fouled, and it's like, it doesn't matter how good you are. If someone's riding you, if someone's pulling you down, like it's going to be very difficult to score. And so Alpi Shingun was the perfect example. And then you have the announcer also playing the part of like, oh, you've got to play through that contact. He was holding on to him. I don't know how he was supposed to play through that.
Right. No. Yeah. Uh,
Hey, David wrote Keldon needs to start. What do you think about that?
I don't know. It almost is like there's too much firepower in the first starting lineup. I mean, that's how Manu was. Like they kind of had the same situation as Keldon. It's like, when you put Manu in the second, he's just his own player, and he just can score those points and come alive. Where you put him stacked with the first team, it's just like there's not enough to go around.
Hey,
He like blossoms being in his own on the second team coming off the bench.
here's the thought that came to mind when I was taking notes. What if the Spurs didn't have Keldon? They'd be lost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be bad news right there.
Really keeps him in the game. And I will say, Keldon's the only Spur that will halfway set the tone
Yeah.
because he'll get the crowd into it, and he actually raises their level of play by his tone setting. So I will say that about Keldon. I love Keldon. I think he'll be a Spur for a long time.
But he's more enthusiasm than he is like accountability guy.
Well,
I
yes,
I
yes.
need someone to sit there and tell these guys like, "Hey, you have to do this." Like Chris Paul. Like Chris Paul I think is slightly annoying. Like that's the impression I get from his teammates, but at least with Chris Paul, he would tell them like,
Right.
"You have to do this." And that's what the Spurs need. And I don't see that from Keldon. I see more Keldon's setting the tone, bringing the energy up,
I
but
do
I
love
need
that.
someone else to come in and tell it like, "You need to do this." Like Victor,
Yeah.
you need to stop bringing up the ball because you cannot hold on to it. Also, here's a good stat for anybody watching. Pay attention to how often Victor Wembanyama is on the floor. He is on the floor all the time. Why does he fall down? It's because he's playing beyond himself. He's literally not physically capable of doing some of the things he tries to do. Some of it is because he gets pushed, pulled, shoved down, but also some of it is because he's out of control because hey, when you're 7'5", things are difficult. I think what he's able to do with bringing up the ball is amazing as it is. But I think I would rein in Victor and say, like, look, here are your strong suits. Like, here's what we know you can do. Like, don't play beyond this because, for example, when you try to take people off the dribble from the 3-point line, 20% of the time, maybe you end up with a highlight dunk, but like 80% of the time, we end up chasing someone on a fast break.
And so what you're saying earlier about the kind of the accountability is you're missing the Tim Duncan.
I think so. I think Tim was quiet accountability somewhat. I think I'm thinking of more of like a role player though, but someone who has the gravity to tell someone else like, look, you're doing this wrong. You need to understand this. And I think Mitch Johnson needs it too. That was part of the Spurs problem is like you hired someone so young that he himself needs someone to hold him accountable. I know
Right.
he's been with the team for a while, but he's 30, he just turned 39. Like you're you're barely older than some of the veterans on the team, right? Even though the Spurs are a younger team. So that's what
Right.
I would have liked to have seen someone older come in and then they can help with that. But yeah, I think with the Spurs, it's going to have to be Victor because he's the only person that's like, you can tell Victor has some authoritarian, like, hey, we're not going to lose this game. And so he has to start telling his teammates what to do. David wrote, everybody wanted to trade Keldon and Vassell when it started last year. I was against it. They deserve to be on this team. I agree. And Devin Vassell is better than he's playing. Devin Vassell can almost be a star when he's playing good. I think people overlook that. When things are going bad, Devin Vassell gets thrown. Like people are just like, no, he's not that good. Like, yeah, he's really good. The Spurs just need to. I don't think right now he is integrated into this lineup because you have the three guards being rotated, and then you have Devin Vassell. He sometimes gets lost in the shuffle.
And I was at one point I probably was the same with the Keldon. I was like, but then he just came alive, and it's you can't get rid of him now. He can see his potential and what he means to the team, and you just gotta kind of keep him around now.
David,
I hope he's there for a long time.
David, thanks for joining. You have a good night too. We appreciate it. Um, yeah, I think the Spurs have a lot of talent. Even Jeremy Sohan sitting at the end of the bench. I mean, there are times last year when he looked like the ultimate Swiss Army knife, and
Yeah.
he's really good. He has played horribly this season, so I would have benched him too. So I think that was a good move by Mitch, is to like, hey, look, we've got to recognize Jeremy Sohan's not producing. He's not hitting any threes. Like we need him to be better to make this lineup. So I think at some point he will make it back in. He actually had a good showing when they played him. Do you remember when they put him in against Memphis and he started to create some turnovers and he was playing good defense? They gave him a shot and
Yeah.
he came up. So I think he'll get his shot again, but he deserves to be benched. He was playing bad when he was a regular part of the rotation. Uh,
Yeah. You think he'll be gone?
he might because I mean, look at the Spurs. Like you can only hold on to so many contracts unless he's willing to take less money. I like him as a player. I think he's a really valuable player. I just think he's the ultimate Swiss Army knife when he's on, but he has to shoot better from three, or else
That's the thing.
he can't
That
make it.
is the thing. Because that's what's required now. If you so the Spurs, he's kind of like the odd man out because you've got other guys that aren't that great. So you just add another guy that's not that great, and it's like, okay, now you got to turn that into something else.
Well, and when you look at the Spurs, you see some good shooters, but they're streaky shooters. Like De'Aaron Fox can be a good shooter. So can Champagny. So can Vassell. I think Harper and Castle are in a like definitely levels below that, but they're also streaky, and I think they
Right.
can be good 3-point shooters. So I want to see the development start right now, and I mean like, hey, after practice, like you're sitting there and you're shooting threes over and over again. Let's get going on this. I don't know who their shooting coach is, but they can go ahead and fire him. Uh,
Right.
but I would like to. I mean, if I'm the Spurs, like why not just drill 3-point shooting over and over again? That's what they're missing, and so maybe there's not a trade to be had. Maybe there is, but regardless, we have players on our team that could improve. One, two,
Right.
3%, 3% from threes. It's going to make all the difference. So. I'd be pushing. I mean, to me, it's like, why am I like one thing I noticed about the NBA is everybody's always looking somewhere else. Like, look right here. What can you
Right,
do? Like, right as the
right.
Spurs, like, what else can you do to improve? And so I would be looking to improve the team, like player by player, for just starting with the basics. Hey, Stefan Castle, can you stop turning the ball over 4 times a game? We get those down to 2.5, and we're in good shape. Dylan Harper, can you make better decisions? So on.
So let's hope that they do. Hopefully, they can go back to the first quarter of the year, the season, and kind of go back to that and kind of get back on track.
More consistent play out of them, it's going to work well. I've got through most of my notes. What about you? Did you get through most of yours?
I think we touched on most of it. I do. I think that's about it. I mean, a win's a win, and that's good. I mean, we're happy for a win, and uh, you know, sometimes a win masks some of the bad. But I mean,
Well, this
it'd be
this time they played better at the right time. We've seen them play good at the beginning and then forfeit that lead. So at least this time they played good at the beginning. But I think also this criticism goes to show this team is championship caliber, right? Like, we're talking about all of these faults they have, and yet they're, what are they, the third best record in the league?
right.
This team's
So they're
right
there.
there.
Right, they're there.
So that's why I say, like, no, don't wait for to. Like, I'm not waiting for tomorrow. Like 2026, 2027. No, no. This season, right now, we're beating the Nuggets, we're beating the Thunder, we're beating the Rockets, we're beating the Knicks, winning the championship. I'm not waiting. Like, this has to be the season, and I'd like to hear that more from the Spurs. Is like, no, it's not next season, it's now.
Right, I agree. So I mean, if they're that good, they all I need to do is kind of you know if they could just pick up their threes, like I said, attention to detail, turn the ball over less, they're going to be right there competing.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. If we look at this criticism and we look at if this criticism is in place and they're this good, and we can just improve what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% on some of these different facets, like on
Right,
turnovers, on free throws, even free throws, something as simple as free throws. These guys miss free throws, no problem. We start like those things start get alleviated. The Spurs team just rises, and so
right.
I think that to me is the most tempting part and the most where there's the most promise. And I think that's also what bothers me the most is like, this is right in front of you. Go get it.
That's kind of to kind of piggyback that would be, if they just hit two more threes a game, they win a lot of these games after losing by one, two, or three. I mean, they're because they've hit just a couple more threes, or like you said, a couple less turnovers. Then it's maybe 4 points or whatever, and they get a couple more wins.
Well, look at the game against the Pelicans, that embarrassing loss that didn't need to happen. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
prime example of like, look, this team has like you could easily have beaten that team, but there are certain flaws that are holding you back. And the good thing is they've still got over half the season to remedy this. So to me, I'm not looking at it as a dream deferred. I'm looking at this as, hey, Mitch Johnson, we need to take care of this right now because there's a real chance that the Spurs go ahead and, let's just call it, steal a championship when they're not supposed to. This is supposed to be quote unquote quote early.
yeah,
I mean,
really.
but it's right there, and so you can't just let it go by. What I would hate to happen in the playoffs is for some team like the Knicks or the Thunder to beat them just because they're more disciplined.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you never waste an opportunity in the NBA because you just never know when it's going to come back.
Well, and your career doesn't last that long, right? Like, you look at your career and it's over in a few years. Like, Wimby's about to enter his prime, maybe 2 years he's in his prime. He's got, once he's in his prime, what, 4 years, and then it's on the downhill. We've seen so many players their career just not last that long, and with Wimby, it's you can't take it for granted. At 7'5", like, it's just easier to get injured.
Right. We've seen their share of that with them. So, you know,
I
good thing
mean,
there's haven't been long, lingering injuries.
yeah, and I don't fault him for that. Like, that's just part. Like, if you're 7'5", that comes with the game, and in fact, he's incredibly nimble for being seven foot
Yeah.
five. Like, it's absolutely amazing what he can do. But it's like taking that for granted and being like, okay, we have to win because we don't know who's going to get injured, who's going to be available. I mean, look at also the salary cap. It's harder and harder to keep a team with talent now because someone has to go, right? Not everybody can make the money that they deserve. And when you look at Dylan Harper, when you look at Stephon Castle, they're going to earn a lot of money.
Right. Hopefully somebody will take the old Spurs discount.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think. You know what,
Hometown discount.
Manu and Tony were very nice to the Spurs, but I don't think those days are over. I don't think that's happening anymore. I don't think they're going to be able to sell them on the Greg Popovich shuffle.
Right. Well, you can only hope.
Yeah, right. We're at eight concurrent viewers right now, so we're reaching. We didn't hit the right time because you have to be on the stream immediately after the game. I saw there's actually like a stream going on with the game, like as it was going on. I need to watch the game. It would be hard for me to stream the game and watch the game at the same time.
Right.
You know, because like it's like I'm trying to watch the game, and then it's like if you're commenting on the game while it's going on, it's not as I just don't think I would have a more difficult time with that. But I'd rather react to the game after.
Right. I think reacting is better.
Yeah.
Than because you'd miss so much.
But this was a big game. This was a marquee game. ESPN. We saw the Lakers get destroyed by the Cavs, which was good to see. I think the Lakers are going to fall down. But then the Spurs and the Rockets face off. You have the Rockets pulling ahead, up by 16, and then the Spurs come out and dominate and really just thrash the Rockets in the second half. And it's especially good because they'd already lost to the Rockets,
Right.
and so I mean that was even better to see.
It was on the Houston floor too. I mean, that makes it a little bit harder to do, so a little bit more meaningful.
Have the Spurs played the Rockets in San Antonio yet?
Wasn't that the last game or the game before last?
I thought
And
this. I thought the Spurs played the Rockets on. I thought the Spurs played the Rockets in Houston.
twice.
I know they've already played them once in Houston, and this would have been the second game. But
That's what I mean. The twice. Yeah. Let me see.
did the Rockets beat the Spurs in San Antonio?
Not sure. Let's see. Trying to look at their schedule, but
This is really good. This is really good stream for us to be looking this up at while we're streaming.
oh well.
Yeah, if you want to drop, you can. I'm going to go ahead and look at the box score. If you want to stay with the box score, let's look and see what the Spurs were doing. They won the fourth quarter 27-13. So the Rockets just couldn't even put up a shot, and I think that is directly ties to Victor. I mean, yeah, they were missing some shots, but they were also trying to get into the lane and they couldn't.
We'll see this weekend if he's named.
Speaking of the Rockets, I really like Reed Shepherd. He shows up good against the Spurs.
Yes.
Losing Steven Adams hurt them a lot, though.
I
So,
agree with that.
so De'Aaron Fox had 5 turnovers. Oh, that's brutal.
I mean, Castle.
He only had 2, but you know there are other ones that just don't show up, like when he gets blocked.
Yeah. No, I hear that one.
Victor had 4, and the Spurs only had 15 total, so that's not too bad. I'll take that. But Dylan Harper had 2. So let's look at that point guard position. That's 5, 7, 9 turnovers from your point guard position. Way too many. Keldon Johnson again saves them off the bench. 27 minutes, 17 points, 8 of 15. I mean, he's playing like a star role player. He's on such a good contract too. That's not going to happen again. He's going to command more money. So for this season, let's see. Can I even see? ESPN doesn't show the stats regular now. Let's look at his stats. For the season this year, he is averaging 24 minutes, 55.5% from the floor, 39.9% from 3. I didn't even know he was that high. And how many rebounds is he getting? 5.9 rebounds. I mean, this guy in 13.5 points, and that I think those points per game are actually lower because on some games where he's not needed, he won't score that many points. But he's been like an MVP of sorts for the Spurs. And like you said, I mean, I think the Manu comparison is fair. Like they don't play similar, but Keldon Johnson's providing a similar role.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Gives them that spark plug off the bench.
If they didn't have him, like I don't know what their record would be. Like he's won so many games for them.
Right. I mean, I totally agree with that. I totally agree.
Yeah, if he ends up, and what I like about him too is he steps up when someone else isn't playing well. So like for example, the games that Victor hasn't played, he steps up. Right? Over and over we see him again. He's been a huge contributor throughout the season. Only at 6'5" too, and he plays power forward. Um,
Well, he's a lot bigger than he is.
he does, and he plays bully ball. I love it, and so he gets those easy buckets, which is what the Spurs need. Like I think that's why he's so good, is because the Spurs need easier shots, and he gets them the easier shots, which thaws the defense and it opens up for the rest of the team. And I'd like to see the other players start to approach it that way because they're more off coasting for threes. Like Devin Vassell, for example, when he runs to the 3-point line, or Julian Champagny the same, I'd like to see less running to the 3-point line and more looking for openings at the basket. Because the Spurs, that's what the Spurs are missing more of is layups. Like layups, dunks, easy points. Keldon Johnson, when you think of the Spurs, who's getting those easy points? It's mostly Keldon Johnson. I mean, after Victor, of course, but it's mostly Keldon and then also Dylan Harper.
Right. I did see Dylan Harper make some nice layups tonight and open in the second half there.
And so to me, for the Spurs, I'm looking for, hey, can we open up the floor with easy points and can we lead to our offense off of our defense? Because when they play good defense, that fuels the offense and it keeps the other team from getting set in the defense. The Spurs have struggled in the half court. Like we've seen them many times this season with difficulty scoring when the other team's defense is set. So, given that, I would approach this as let's put more pressure. I love that Harrison Barnes was in the backcourt going ahead and picking up these guys 80 feet out because then you
Right.
don't just grant them like advancing the ball past half court. I'm not just going to give you that. You're going to have to get to it. And the other teams dislike when they do that.
Right. It just takes a few seconds off the shot clock.
A few
Makes
sec
him,
Yeah, a few seconds off the shot clock, it's more difficult. I mean, even Reed Shepard, did you see him? He almost turned the ball over
right.
when that happened. And Kevin Durant, same thing. Remember when Kevin Durant got forced into that
Yeah.
jumper at the end of the shot clock and Victor blocked it?
Right. Oh yeah, when you did that turnaround, and Victor came over the top. I did. Yeah, that was good.
And to me, when the Spurs are attacking on defense like that, it also solves this overabundance of talent problem because now, hey, look, if you're going to be tired, then that's fine. We've got someone else to come in, right? So it's like a fresh rotation of attacking on defense. And so that to me is what I'm looking at. I'm looking for a full court pickup. I mean, Dylan Harper, he can play all day, right? So he's only playing like 20 minutes a game. Let's get him some more minutes because you have De'Aaron Fox, you have Stephon Castle, and you have Dylan Harper all pushing in the backcourt. And I like when De'Aaron Fox plays aggressive defense. I think he plays better when he's attacking on defense.
Right. Right.
So if the Spurs could be more aggressive, I think they'd be so much better off. And I think that opens up Victor. And that's the only way to get this more open is if the Spurs start moving faster, playing more aggressive, and then opening up for Victor, like opening it up so that now the other teams can't just zero in on Victor. They can't have two players chipping him on his way to the basket. Maybe it's just one instead. But then they're playing the Spurs more honest, and then the Spurs talent can thrive from there.
And yes, because then like you said, Victor, even if he gets double teamed, somebody's open at that point. That's going to open up the floor that they're going to have to honor the three and kind of space the floor out a little bit there.
Yeah. Well, we're right about at the hour. Is there anything else that you wanted to add in after this Rockets win?
No, it was a good win. It was a good win in Houston, and it went. I'm glad they won, and let's get another one.
We picked the right day to stream. I mean, what a good regular season game to start streaming on. So I really appreciate you joining. Thanks for joining.
Yeah,
Good
Brad.
conversation and good notes. So we'll go ahead and end the stream there, but we'll pick up. We'll try this again.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll go ahead and end it right there. Done.
What do you think?
I think that went well.